Hey guys, what's up? It's Charlie here, and today we're going to be looking at the real net worths of movie characters. We all love movies, whether it's watching action movies with your friends, or watching rom-coms with that special someone. There's something for everyone. But have you ever noticed that some of the most entertaining and hilarious characters are also the richest? That is why today we're going to be looking at the richest of the rich when it comes to movie characters. These are people that even the millionaires acting as them wished they could be. But before we get into it, why not subscribe and press the notification bell too? Coming in at number 10, we have Gatsby. Nearly 100 years after the original novel was made, The Great Gatsby is still as iconic as always. But nowadays, that's thanks to the recent movie starring Leonardo DiCaprio. In the movie, Gatsby is a rich businessman, but exactly how rich is he? Well, in the movie, he has a net worth of roughly $600 million. That is a crazy amount of money, and what's even crazier is what he spends his fortune on. Gatsby is known for throwing huge parties and having expensive tastes. His famous yellow Rolls Royce is a perfect example of his lavish tastes. His net worth is even more amazing when you consider that $600 million in 1925 would be more like $8.5 billion today. I wouldn't complain if I had $600 million even today though. And neither would the character's actor Leonardo DiCaprio, considering that Gatsby's net worth is more than double DiCaprio's. Next up is Monty Burns. The Simpsons are America's favorite animated family and have been for years. This is partly because of how relatable and likable they are. And one of the most relatable things about Homer is his frustrating and downright evil boss, Mr. Burns. While most happy endings have the main character replace their boss as the richest or highest ranking, something tells me Homer has no chance of overcoming Mr. Burns' wealth. This is because Charles Montgomery Burns has a net worth of over $1.1 billion. This is mainly due to his ownership of the massive nuclear power plant which powers the entire town. But he also has other ventures. This includes owning several sports stadiums, arenas, casinos, opera houses, hotels, and even a university. Unlike other people on this list, however, he's not a big spender. In fact, he's notoriously stingy. Hey, how do you think he holds onto all those billions? The only notable exception to his stinginess is his massive wardrobe, which has hundreds of rare, expensive outfits, especially a certain gorilla vest. Next up is Lex Luthor. Superman is a hero to many. This is because he's hardworking and dedicated to helping people. And to be the perfect villain to this hero, you need to be the opposite of Superman. Well, that is exactly what Lex Luthor is. Luthor is an evil, rich opposition to Superman. And Superman better be glad that battling isn't based on wealth alone, because Lex has beat him. Luthor has $4.7 billion at his disposal. Considering Clark Kent is only barely getting by on his news job, Luthor outfinances him by quite a bit. For Lex's sake, that's a good thing. But unlike Superman, Luthor has no real powers other than the power of money. Most of his expenses are on robots and destruction machines to fight and beat Superman, and this even includes making crazy suits of armor to battle Superman himself. Just as well that comes as part of the job, as Luthor's main source of income comes from his company LexCorp, which specializes in robotics. Hang on a minute, super smart, rich, specializes in technology? Where have I heard that before? Next up is Forrest Gump. If you were asked to describe the least likely person to become rich, you'd probably describe somebody like Forrest Gump. But you'd also be very wrong. Forrest is actually a multi-billionaire with a net worth of $5.7 billion. You're probably thinking, where did all that money come from? But if you look back to the events of the film, it's actually pretty clear. He definitely had a good start with the ultra-successful shrimp restaurant Bubba Gump. This would have earned him several $1 million just to start, even if he did give a lot to Bubba's family. But the bulk of his wealth came a lot later. Towards the end of the movie, Forrest explains Lieutenant Dan invested in a fruit company. But it turns out that company would actually be Apple, and today their early investment would be near $6 billion. That's pretty good considering all his life Forrest was told he wouldn't amount to anything. I guess that makes this story even more inspirational than we thought. Next up is Willy Wonka. Everyone loves candy. No matter how old you are, you can always enjoy some chocolate or another kind of sweet treat. And all the sales clearly rack up considering Willy Wonka is one of the richest people ever in movies. With a ridiculous net worth of $8 billion, it's safe to say candy sells. Obviously, Wonka isn't any old candy maker unlike Hershey's or Mars and other well-known chocolate companies. The difference is, Wonka is crazy. He's known for his wacky tasting foods and crazy factories full of Oompa Loompas. Maybe if he didn't spend so much on all those crazy factories and their traps, he would have even more money. But this does go to show he cares way more about his job than money, spending tons of cash on making the food taste even better. This proves if you love what you do and you work hard, you'll earn even more. Who would have thought he'd be getting life lessons from top 10s? You can't help but wonder how much Charlie is earning now he runs the factory. Maybe one day he'll make his way onto the movie rich list as well. Next up is Scrooge McDuck. If you were a kid in the early 90s, you probably get very excited when you hear the name DuckTales. And who can blame you, it's one of the biggest cartoon shows even today. But while Huey, Dewey, and Louie are a big part of the show, there's no doubting that Scrooge McDuck will always be the star of the show. Being one of the funniest and most entertaining parts of the cartoon, he was absolutely loaded. With a massive $8.2 billion net worth, he's probably one of the most notoriously rich TV and movie characters. He has a reputation of being filthy rich, which is even crazier considering nobody knows really what he does. Part of what gives him a crazy reputation is that he's used to swimming in money, literally. And that's on top of his many houses, cars, and other vehicles in the show. But maybe he saves money on clothing, since he seems to only have one outfit. As well as that, he's rich enough to pay for the triplets' wild adventures, which over the years must have really added up. But that's not to say they haven't paid off too. Most of the treasure they hunt down just adds to Scrooge's massive wealth. Even if other people on this list are richer, nobody else shows it like Scrooge McDuck. Next up is Bruce Wayne. We've already talked about the big screen's richest villain, but what about one of the richest heroes? Bruce Wayne is rich because of his massive tech business, Wayne Enterprises. This massive company has led to his net worth being around $9.2 billion. This is a crazy amount of money, seeing as he's done it all by himself with hard work alone. One of the things that sets Wayne apart from all the other people on this list is how he spends his money. While some people splash out on fancy cars, big houses, and other luxuries, Wayne spends his fortune fighting crime. To become Batman, you need to afford serious martial arts training as well as general exercising to stay in shape. That, along with the costs of his suits, the Batmobile, the Batcave, and other gadgets, no wonder only he can afford to be Batman. Next up is Tony Stark. So you might have to be very wealthy to be Batman, and Bruce Wayne definitely has more money than he'd ever need, but he still gets beaten by his Marvel counterpart. Tony Stark is CEO of Stark Industries, which is the biggest tech company in that world. Because of that high up position in the company, he's got a net worth of $12.4 billion. Chances are the methods of fighting crime are also much more expensive than Batman's. Stark prefers to spend his billions on making hundreds of suits of armor, and on top of that he has a bunch of houses and apartments, including finding the entire Avengers mansion complete with AI butlers and special suits for the whole team, as well as having hundreds of cars, private jets, yachts, and the latest technology you can think of. To be fair, the only reason he has all this technology is probably because he made it. Next up is Richie Rich. At one point in every kid's life, we've wished we'd had all the money in the world. Even as adults, we dream about what it would be like to have tons of money. But for characters like Richie Rich, that dream is a reality. Richie is called the world's richest kid, and it's hard to disagree. With a crazy $24.7 billion net worth, not only is he the world's richest kid, but he's also one of the richest people of all time. He has a net worth higher than Elon Musk and Donald Trump's combined. This has led to him being able to buy planes, cars, houses, and all the luxuries we wish we could afford as kids. And that's what's crazy, he's only a kid. But if he's that rich just for being some businessman's son, then the real question is, how rich is Richie's dad? Next up is T'Challa. We've looked at a lot of rich villains, and even some rich superheroes, but none of them even compare to the Black Panther. The King of Wakanda has a ridiculous $90.7 trillion. That's right, he's the world's only trillionaire, and that's not even the end of it. T'Challa's net worth is literally higher than all the money in the world put together, so you're probably wondering where exactly does he get this insane wealth from? It's actually because of a rare metal called vibranium, which Wakanda has a whole mountain of. This has not only made him one of the richest people of all time, but it also allows him to have more technology than the rest of the world. So all the previous super rich tech billionaires don't even begin to compare. It's safe to say the Black Panther is the king of Wakanda and wealth, and something tells me he's going to be pretty hard to top. Do you guys like T'Challa and the Black Panther movie or not? Let me know your thoughts in the comments. Everyone on this list was super rich. From Scrooge McDuck diving into a pool of money, from Batman using the Batmobile. People actually worked out the Batmobile would cost around $10 million if it was a real car. This means it would be the most expensive retail car in the world. And if the only Batmobile in existence went up for auction, it would go for around $100 million. I mean, it is a cool car and all, but I'd rather have the $100 million. I guess when you're a billionaire like Bruce Wayne, that doesn't really matter. Check out the poll in the top right corner to vote for your favorite movie character on this list. I think I'll have to say Jay Gatsby, as he is one cool character. Be sure to check out my second channel for more amazing videos. There'll be a link to that on screen in a moment. And I'll even play a segment of one of those videos right now. But as always, thanks for watching. Check out some more videos on screen right now. Leave a like if you enjoyed, and if you haven't already, what are you waiting for? Subscribe to Top 10s.